Mm, funny.
Did you record?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hot Topic Tuesday. April and Trisha, and we are going to be covering today the hot topic of navigating perimenopause with lifestyle and nutrition strategies. So we're going to kind of keep this sweet, direct, and to the point. As I'm sure everybody knows, the what menopause or perimenopause. So perimenopause, we've talked about this before. Perimenopause is essentially around menopause. So before, during, and after menopause. So peri means around. So navigating, if you're entering into menopause, and we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about hormones, and we were talking about hormone fluctuations. And technically, some women can be, and I had saw some back and forth in the Facebook group. Some women can be in perimenopause for 15 years up until they actually enter menopause. It's funny because I've been experiencing a lot of menopausal symptoms and I had an annual physical with a new physician, and I mentioned to my husband Tom about being perimenopausal. He's like, that's impossible. You're too young. And I'm like, actually, no, I'm kind of hitting at the age. I was like, and just because it's peri doesn't mean like I haven't been through it. Technically, you have to not have a cycle for at least 1 year before you're considered to be deemed in menopause. So I haven't crossed that bridge yet. So anyway, with that being said, that is essentially what the definition of perimenopause is. And the perimenopause, we kind of start going into the transition phase. We had talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we covered progesterone. We covered progesterone, and we're talking about actually, like, we think of menopause, and a lot of times menopause consists of the body just stops producing estrogen. So it starts slowly stop producing estrogen. But as we start entering and start dealing with the symptoms of menopause, a lot of times it is actually progesterone is decreasing. And we had talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So progesterone is decreasing, which in turn ends up giving us, we start exhibiting the symptoms of excess estrogen. So to sum it up, our hormones kind of just start getting imbalanced and just kind of start going a little bit haywire. So we, start dealing with mood imbalances, little rage. the the most common, the biggest, I would say the biggest complaint is the night sweats, the hot flashes, the belly fat. A lot of women are like, I'm starting to kind of gain this belly fat. I actually like to call that the cortisol belly, to be honest. So the belly fat and the irregularities with our cycle. So you'll tend to kind of start dealing with, you know, irregular bleeding where you're bleeding for a long period of time, or you're bleeding heavily, or you're not bleeding at all and it's very sporadic and you just don't know. And I don't know what, Trisha, I don't think you're experiencing as bad of, I don't think you're experiencing as bad of symptoms, but I would say mine is probably the irregularities with cycle, and the uh, I would say probably the hot flashes and a little bit of the rage. Just and I think, I don't know if it's rage, or I don't know if we just reached an age where we're just not putting up any crap anymore. I think it's probably that one.
Has a lot to do with it.
Anyway,
For sure. And we're
so
also just like a high stress age, like there's a lot going on. I mean, as in you don't have to be a certain age for that to happen, but you know,
exactly.
definitely. Yeah. But no.
So some of the challenges, like I said, that we typically face, weight loss resistance is one of the biggest complaints that we usually hear. Traditional diets, typically don't work. You're it's almost like you're battling hormones, the hormone imbalance. So you have to be a little bit more specific and have a specific strategy and specific plan. Um, the hormone imbalance, the effects on mood, energy levels are going to drop. And that is, a lot of times the energy is due to the hormone imbalance, the disruption in sleep, the increased level of cortisol. It's all like a domino effect. It's not one. I have people all the time that if you tend to be an overthinker, you're going to think, well, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You're going to be thinking all day long when you're thinking about that. Like what, like is it this or is it this, or anyway. um and again, some of the common symptoms: hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, and so forth. With that being said, I'm going to cover the some of the lifestyle. We're going to dive into the lifestyle strategies first, and then we're going to dive into the nutrition strategies. Nutrition kind of bunched in the nutrition and supplement strategies, because you swallow, eat supplements, and that kind of goes with nutrition, but they are highly different. So definitely different categories. So with that being said, lifestyle strategies, first and foremost, we always got to put this one at the top of the list. That is going to be stress management. Like, stress management, y'all, we talk about this all the time, and it's not. So many people, when they hear the term stress, they think work stress, or, it's somebody stressing me out in life. Like, that is not just the definition of stress. We're talking about stress from all different sources. We're talking about stress from our physical activity, our mental stress, our environmental stress. Like, we're talking about stress from a lot of different levels. It's not just, well, my job's not really stressful, or I don't really feel stressed. It's not that. It's so stress management, um, incorporating stress management techniques like deep breathing exercises, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation, yoga. Yoga is good. That's actually why I have incorporated yoga, because I've never been like one of those yoga people ever. And I do hot yoga specifically because the sweat drips down in my eyes, so it makes me keep my eyes closed. Because otherwise, I am the weirdo that's like looking around with the one eye. Um, so the big thing is just trying to manage and reduce overall cortisol levels, which should help balance symptoms with mood swing and anxiety, because anxiety is a big one too, when we're entering into menopause. Regular exercise. Regular exercise is basically engaging in regular physical activity daily. I would recommend 30 minutes of something, some kind of physical activity, whether it's taking a walk, whether it's some resistance training, um, swimming. Just exercise in general can improve our mood, energy levels, sleep quality, and overall well-being. So it doesn't have to be, which I will say, as we age, having some level of resistance training is important. And don't get misconformed as to the resistance training. Can be body weight, it can be yoga, it can be, it can be swimming. It does not have to be, some women think resistance training is the definition of going and lifting like super heavy weights, and then we're going to get bulky. We're all going to get bulky, which that's not the case. Sleep is third on the list. Optimizing sleep hygiene and maintaining the important thing is maintaining a consistent sleep schedule. And we've talked about this before. Our bodies naturally want to go to bed and wake within an hour at the same time, so we want to kind of stay on the same circadian rhythm. And of course, we're actually getting ready to come up to a time change, which everybody's going to have a little bit of an adjustment. But if you're smart and you typically stick to that routine, it should not have too much of an effect. But some people who have an erratic sleep schedule, where weekends they might stay up super late, and then during the week they got to work, and then they go back to bed early. They're typically the ones that struggle with the time change. But I am excited for it. Just to say. So creating a bedtime routine, cutting off electronics. I would say probably at least an hour before bed. Blue light. Put your phone in another room, y'all. Put your phone in another room. I had my phone by the side table last night. I always plug my phone in, but Tom was watching a hockey game. I didn't really want to watch the hockey game. I didn't think we were going to watch our Netflix show, and I always plug my phone into the kitchen at a certain time. Basically, I unplug. And I had brought my phone because I thought he was going to still watch hockey so I could play Words with Friends because, like, I didn't really want to watch hockey. But anyway, as soon as I realized that he was going to conform and we were going to watch our show, I put it on the side table, I pushed it away, and I turned it over. I turned it over so I wouldn't see the flash, so I wouldn't like look. So the blue light can actually naturally affect our sleep. So keep your phone out of your room. Um, ensuring ensuring that you have the comfortable sleep environment. So like cooling sheets. I have a stand up fan in my room. My husband complains. He said it sounds like a wind tunnel in the room. I told him I don't care. Like I don't care. Get sleep in the other room. That's not nice. But anyway, keeping it cool, a temperature, a couple of degrees cooler will actually help and kind of help us stay asleep. Mindful eating. So mindful eating practices to essentially to, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, essentially to encourage, those fullness cues and, to are we full and, are we satiated, eating slow and savoring each bite. And also the mindful eating to, if we're eating our food thoroughly and slowly, then it will play a positive role in blood sugar regulation, and it will, play a positive role in digestion, because digestion does, unfortunately play a significant role in hormone balance in general. And just, I would say, the big thing is, a lot of people suffer, or a lot of people, I ain't gonna say suffer, but a lot of people experience emotional eating, and when we are going through menopause, our hormones are a little out of whack. We feel like we kind of can't control our emotions. We can't, the rage, the tears, and some people tend to be more prone to emotional eating, and I think the mindful eating is very important to, to practice that mindful approach to prevent to try to prevent and abstain from the emotional eating as much as possible, because that of course is going to contribute to the unwanted weight gain that some women tend to experience. So, and also, to be able to have strategies in place for, knowing the triggers for what, is triggering you to want to turn to food, to soothe those emotions, or want to turn to food. Like, are you bored or are you stressed out, and in turn, looking at, coping mechanisms of de-stressing, taking a walk, whatever to help balance that out. And lastly is going to be having some social support. So of course, everybody has our awesome Facebook community where everybody's so supportive and so encouraging, but it's sometimes when you're going through something hard, it's easy to feel like you're alone. It's easy to feel like you're alone, or like, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? But it's nice to know, having a support system in place, like our Facebook community, or having friends, who may be going through the same thing that you can bounce ideas off of. Or like, for example, I found this amazing cooling comforter on I went through a small fortune in comforters because I'd wake up drenched in sweat. And this comforter is, not only does it warm you in the winter, but it's so cool in the summer, and it's very lightweight. And like, I shared it with everybody that I knew that's going through the same symptoms, because this is amazing and it's cheap, and just sharing, having a social network out there is important, to know that you're not alone, and you can, you can vent and you can complain, and share helpful tips and things that help. So with that being said, Trisha's going to take over on the nutrition and supplementation portion.
Hi, yes. And you'll probably honestly see a lot of common themes of stuff that April talked about, or, a lot of the stuff she talked about are behaviors maybe and symptoms that can happen. And, some of this, the nutritional strategies that and supplementation will kind of like fill in a little bit of those too. So, all right to it. We're going to start with, nutritional strategies for perimenopause. We'll kind of go through those first, and then we'll get into some more of the more specific nutrients and supplementation that may be helpful. First and foremost is, and if you read any of the social media like Instagram, Facebook prompts that we had last week, balanced diet came up in absolutely everything. So balanced diet is going to be focusing on, whole grains, lean proteins, plenty of fruits and vegetables. Don't shy away from fruits, even though if you're tracking, you might see that the sugars are going high. Do not stress it if it's fruit. Fruit nutrients are amazing, and healthy fats. So just a big focus on just an overall balanced diet. One of the phrases I've heard, what is the healthiest way of eating for you is the best diet for you is the healthiest one for you. So, just kind of focusing on all those good things, and fiber. Like fiber is super, super important. It's going to come up and a couple of the things I'm about to talk about. And that's where, the focus on whole grains and fruits and vegetables really come in. Second, we've got managing blood sugar. And April talks about some really good strategies already with our lifestyle factors, like following more of a circadian cycle is great for managing blood sugar. Just again, kind of having a similar wake time, a similar sleep time, having an eating window that is primarily focused on the daytime hours. So, maybe avoiding heavy meals about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Those are all great lifestyle strategies in managing blood sugar, but also more in food strategy, complex carbohydrates, again, fiber. So if you're having mixed meal, that's incorporating lean protein, healthy fats, and fiber, and you're also having carbohydrates in that meal, those things will help slow the absorption down and just manage our blood sugar and insulin response a little bit better. So managing blood sugar, avoiding more refined sugars and refined carbohydrates, is always going to definitely help the perimenopause symptoms. And as we get into supplements, there's a little bit more, specific stuff there too. Consider incorporating phytoestrogen foods like soy, flax seeds, legumes. As we get more into specific nutrients, I'll probably go into like a little bit more detail about that. But a lot of women find really good symptom relief from soy products. If you can tolerate them, if you handle those well, they can be a really good thing to add in. And then lastly, adequate hydration. So, we always focus on water. That is a really good back to basic things that everyone can do. We usually coach our clients to kind of try to get in half their body weight in ounces plus 15 ounces for exercise. So if you're not at half your body weight in ounces, that's always a really good first goal to get to. But, adequate hydration is going to help manage your blood sugar. It's going to help, flush out some of these excess hormones and things that, we don't necessarily need in our body too. So that's always going to be a really good basic. Okay. So moving on, specific nutrients and supplements. So did you say cohosh or cohosh?
Gosh, that's like,
Cohosh.
yeah.
I was just looking at that. I'm like, I've always said it in my head, and I think I said it wrong. Black cohosh. So this is a herbal supplement, traditionally used that can help alleviate hot flashes, night sweats, and other menopausal symptoms. And there are some studies that suggest that it can help regulate hormones, particularly estrogen. And that again is the one that is probably making everybody feel, a little funkier because you've got progesterone declining at a little bit more rapid spot, and it can kind of fake you out like April said, and you can think you have excess estrogen symptoms, but it's just because progesterone's not really keeping up as well. Soy isoflavones, this is going along with kind of adding in some of the phytoestrogens. So these are plant compounds that have estrogen-like effects, so they can help alleviate the hot flashes, other, menopausal symptoms. So products like tofu, soy milk, you can get that in through food, or there are some supplementation options that are available for those too. Evening primrose oil is another one. So this contains gamma linolenic acid, GLA. That's an omega-6 fatty acid, so that can help alleviate symptoms like breast tenderness, mood swings, and bloating. So that can kind of help some of those hormonal fluctuations and just some of those uncomfortable symptoms that you might be feeling. Vitamin D. Gosh, I feel like I should have said that one first because vitamin D is another just basic, we tell everybody. I mean, if we get any single client coming in and they're not taking a vitamin D3 supplement, we usually will put them on one at 5,000 IUs per day starting. So vitamin D levels essential for our bone health, for our immune function, and really just overall well-being and everything. And again, we most people are not sufficient in it. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. So that's usually a basic that we ask of everybody, especially in the wintertime. We're not getting sunlight. Our skin is a big absorber of vitamin D3. So we're really like lacking in that for sure. So we've got calcium and magnesium also. This also goes back to vitamin D because vitamin D will help the absorption of magnesium. And magnesium of vitamin D. So those kind of act together. So those are also crucial for bone health and muscle function. So perimenopause does cause some bone density to decline. So we definitely want to keep on the supplementation and food products that will help support that. So supplementing with calcium and magnesium can definitely help reduce the risk of osteoporosis. Omega-3 fatty acids. This is another one that we see a little bit of imbalance with the omega-6. Most of our standard American diet is going to be heavier on the omega-6 side. So omega-3s are, a little bit more challenging to get in. So, definitely foods like salmon are very helpful. But you can definitely supplement with this. I usually recommend 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. That can be a little bit tougher to find, but you can usually get really close or kind of double up to just get to that amount. And these can help with metabolism. So metabolism regulation, omega-3s can be supportive to that, can help with joint pain. Joint pain is a really common symptom that people, experiencing perimenopause and menopause can experience. So it's a very common symptom. One of my clients actually, that was her first clue into, her kind of going through perimenopause is she had pretty extreme joint pain and then she, had some other symptoms too. Could also help the cognitive, brain fog is definitely a big symptom of perimenopause. So omega-3s do help with that kind of brain function and it can help mood swings. And we're always looking for something to help those. Rage comes up a lot. B vitamins are definitely important, particularly your B6 and your B12. B6 is also just a magic, helper to PMS symptoms too. So that one is important, throughout our, female life cycle, I guess you could say. But they also play a role in our energy metabolism, mood regulation again, and nerve function. So you may need to supplement with B vitamins just to kind of help alleviate some of those symptoms. Like a B complex could be a good idea. Or if you're tracking, on something like Chronometer and you're noticing you're low in B12. I was actually low in B12 because after doing the flush, I realized like, oh my gosh, I love fish and it's so easy to cook. And I had really decreased like the lean beef and even chicken and stuff I was eating. So I just incorporated a few more of those things back in with the other stuff and, started doing a little sublingual B12 and it was fine.
And like what you said, the B complex, that's a good idea because it
Yeah.
kind of kind of covers all bases of the B vitamins. And a fun fact, like you cannot, especially the B12, you cannot overdose on B vitamins. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's because
Water
some
soluble. So you're gonna pee them out, if that's the case. And if you're following again like more of a pescatarian or like a meat-free plan, you probably do need a little bit of support with the B vitamins. A lot of them are found in animal products.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, lastly, we have magnesium. Magnesium is probably kind of up there with vitamin D as being one of the good basic supplements we probably would recommend to most people. It is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including muscle and nerve function, energy production, and bone health. So very, very, very important, especially as we're, even menstruating women, perimenopause, magnesium is great. And that can also help reduce symptoms of anxiety, muscle cramps, again, kind of back to that. I know April and I use it at bedtime, and it really finding different types, like she had talked about switching over to the magnesium glycinate, and I had the same experience when I switched to the magnesium glycinate, but I really felt a difference with sleep and bowel movements the next day, which is also important. We talk a lot about how healthy bowel movements can help flush excess hormones from the body, especially estrogen. And I would say that that's when I made that switch to the glycinate, that is, I don't think I've ever experienced such a more dramatic difference as I did with that. Most supplements I take and I'm like, okay, like I think it's helping a little bit, but I haven't really like noticed too much, or it takes a little bit longer. That was almost like immediate.
Agree. And I've always been very routine and very religious with magnesium in general. And I've taken it for years and years. And whenever I switched out the types, like I noticed, and the first week, like I noticed an improvement in my sleep, and I thought, well, wait a minute, is it placebo? But it's not. It has been. I still wake up to go to the bathroom. Like I'll still wake up to pee, but I can actually go back to sleep now without trying to solve all the world's problems with my thoughts, for the next
Yes,
5 hours.
that
So
is
again,
huge. Yes.
yes, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I need to like that we need to like do like a paid Facebook ad or something to tell everybody they need to switch to magnesium glass.
Seriously. And I was just at Target. I mean, we both have like good relationships with some supplement companies where we can get just real good, third party tested like stuff. But I was at Target and I was like, oh, I keep forgetting to order this. So I just grabbed literally like the Nature's Made one, and it was, great. So I can't even imagine if I got like maybe a better brand, like how good that would do. So that was awesome. And then, okay, so it's just to close out really fast, just practical tips to kind of help incorporate, some of the nutrition strategies and even lifestyle strategies. Meal planning and preparation, definitely try to eat a variety of foods, eat kind of the rainbow. Again, fruits and vegetables are going to be super important, which we don't, you can cook them, you can eat them raw. I gave a client a tip of having a veggie tray. Like I mean, Costco veggie trays are not very expensive. I said, oh, throw that on your countertop before, dinner, because most people have the munchies in the afternoon time. I said, just munch on vegetables, like even the little dip in there, have a little bit of the dip. It's fine. So she sent me a picture of her teenage son sitting on the countertop into the veggie. So ended up being like a whole, everything awesome for the family. So meal prep and some preparation is definitely helpful. And then keeping a food diary. So, this also can be a time as your body, is changing during perimenopause. Like you may notice some more sensitivities, bloating with certain foods. You may have kind of had those all along, and some of the good hormones were masking some of these things too. But this can help you kind of understand your dietary triggers, your patterns, and it can help your behavior changes too. So it's not just about like the foods. And then, April already said just seeking that support. We have a great community here. People share all their ideas on our Facebook page and vent a little bit, which is totally fine, and have funny videos and memes. So we are here just to, help with that support. We're going through it too. So yeah, that is all.
Alrighty. Well, everybody have a great week, and we will see y'all next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.